On our last podcast, I shared a wild moment about how my house has become sort of a Snow White place where the animals come to play. On a couple days ago, I got home and my son had some sad news for me. Took me out to the back deck where in a bucket a chipmunk had managed to drown on my deck. And just like we had a bucket, it had water in it. Um, and they've been coming around because we're like, you know, we are giving them peanuts and stuff. Like we've got a little menagerie out there. Um, it was interesting to Seville had conversations with the kids about death and the circle of life and what happened. And um, it's interesting how kids are like they weren't scared, they weren't put off, they were interested in the animal. Um, and then I we had a little funeral for the
Nice.
chipmunk and buried the little one underneath a pine tree. So yeah, you spend your day, in front of the computer screen, get home, pick up the shovel to go bury a chipmunk, and that's the circle of life. What you got, Evan?
Tough hands, man. Did you get any blisters using the shovel? I imagine the hole wasn't too big for a chipmunk.
Little chipmunk, little hole.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, I also buried an animal this week. One of our chickens died. And I shared this on Zoom with you too. I don't think it was for the podcast though. I think it was for our cohort that we're doing for unrationed ringed springs. Is that accurate? I don't want to
Yeah.
double share on the podcast. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my wild moment also involved burying a dead animal. We have I don't know how many chickens at this point. I think it's 17. And a few of them have died up to this point. And I've been lazy with the remains and it got to me. I would just put them in a trash bag rather than go bury them in the yard because there were other things that need to be done, kids, whatever. So, with this particular chicken, the kids were napping and I was already outside doing some yard work. And I went and got a trash bag to put it in. And I was like, I'm going to bury this one. So I went, dug a hole, and buried it. And the cool thing about this experience for me, one, Mother's Day is coming up. And so death at Mother's Day is something I think about often because my mom died 11 years ago. And so I got this experience where I'm interacting with death. But the week before, my wife and I had planted an herb garden out front of our house, and it felt like the same act. I had the shovel, I was digging a hole, and I was putting something in the earth to bring new life. In one circumstance where we're going to use these herbs to cook with and teach the kids about planting and all of those things. And this other circumstance was the same act. I had the same shovel digging in the same ground, not too far apart. I mean, far enough apart, chickens in the woods, herb gardens in front of the house. So over here, but doing the same exact thing, putting something in the ground that's dead instead of something that's alive. But there is this circle of life aspect that became a part of me in a new way, having those experiences so close together. I don't have the words to articulate it all super coherently yet, but I felt as though I buried two things that were meant to be buried at that time. So that's my wild moment.